came out of the spray booth here, and you can see that the cab has been primed. That's Viejo white polyurethane primer. And I've noticed I've got to do a little bit more sanding. Looks like right there and right in the center of the door. There's a little line right there, but I don't think that's going to be that big a deal. It looks like the upper trim line is pretty good, but just a little bit there. And over here, the boogers on there. That one looks pretty good. This side looks good. I think there might be just a little bit right there. So I'm going to let this harden a little bit. Come back to it in an hour or 2 or 3 or 4. So after I finished doing a lot of Viejo priming, I said I'm going to try out the green. So I began with this, and this is my scrap piece. Right here is the safety green right out of the can, and right over here is the green that I mixed up with a little bit of white in there, and this is some right here, so you can see the difference between the two greens. And this is that whatever huge barrier on the front of the bumper, and I thought, well, I'm going to try spray painting the bottom of it. In my opinion, that is Forest Service green. Somebody else might argue with me. That's pretty darn close. So I said, well, that came out pretty good, so I'm going to try the hood. So there's the hood. It's a little bit pebbly. I think that's the crazing of the plastic. I'm not seeing it on the cab, so I think the cab's okay. I don't know what I'm going to do about the hood. I might let this harden up and maybe try a little sanding and put another coat on later. But for right now, that's going to just harden up someplace where nothing will get on it. And then the next thing I need to do is put those little hangers on the side, get this out of my way, and figure out what's going to be white and what's going to be green on this and this front bumper and such. Come back and we'll see what happens in another day or so. It might be a day or so before I get this ready for painting. Here we are back with Smokey the fire truck, and he is all, as you can see, painted green. As they say in the Army, if it doesn't move, paint it green. And unfortunately, my finger got in the way of this. It wasn't moving a little bit, so it got painted green too. Everything is painted green, 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 green. Oh, the hood's white. So, final steps. What's that? The windows, the interior, go into the cab, and then putting pieces together. I've got over here some of the railings that go on the top. That one I had to make from a piece of wire. And I have some of the old gumballs. I was lucky. You see the gumball, the red gumball thingies. There wasn't a red sprue in the box, but this came with a plethora of spare parts, and this kit, it came in a collection with a plethora of spare parts, and I was able to find in that plethora the sprue that had the 3 red gumballs. So, need to final assembly. I gotta look up what's the right color for those fire extinguishers. I also just painted the Indian pumps. The Indian pumps go on the back deck here, on the back of the fire engine body. And those fire extinguishers, I think, go either both here or one on each side. And, oh, where are the hoses? There are the hoses. The suction hoses. go in there. Come on. The paint's still a little bit sticky on it, and you can see I got some silver because I was painting the silver connectors. So I got to touch up the hose a little bit. And I think what I'm going to do at the end, what I'm looking at doing, I probably should do it now actually, paint it with some Tester's dull coat, and it'll give me a finish that hopefully will look kind of like that. I just have this impression. I used to spend a lot of time in the White Mountains as a boy in New Hampshire and the White Mountain National Forest, and would see these trucks around a lot, and I just have this feeling that they were never shiny, like they were washed with what's that stuff called? Yeah, washed with steel wool. But anyways, they were always dull, and I don't remember them ever being shiny. So maybe they were, maybe they weren't. But I got to do that before I put the windows on. So I guess that's going to be the next step. I want to do that. I don't want to get the windows all fogged over with dull coat. So I was thinking the dull coat would help. If you can see, I don't know if that's showing up, not at all with my hand in the way. It's kind of orange peel on the hood. There's a fairly good gloss on the rest of the body. Oh, I have to paint the, I guess I could do the door handles, and that's probably chrome. These things didn't have much chrome trim. Maybe the windshield wipers. I don't know about the windows. I got a little bit of a green touch up to do right there. So a little bit of touch up and it'll be ready. Final assembly is coming up. You see the gauges I painted in there, and it didn't have either a shift lever or a directional lever, so I put those on. I guess in theory this would have an automatic transmission, but in Forest Service use it probably wouldn't. Oh, you know what else I just remembered? I was going to paint that black because I bet that will show, and I don't want to snap this in. I bet that will show underneath, so I better paint that black. Welcome back to the Forest Service fire truck. Not sure whether to call him Smokey the Bear, or a friend of my dad's had a term. He said Smokey the Bear had a little cousin named Dead Out, and so maybe this will be called Dead Out instead of Smokey. Pretty far along, just a little bit more assembly work, some more details to go on. I think everything is right here in front of us. I've still got to figure out what I'm going to do with those two fire extinguishers. They're not going to stay all chrome. They need to be painted somewhere. At the very least, the cone needs to be painted black. The body, I don't think that the cylinder was usually chrome. I'd sooner paint that red, but I gotta look for some pictures. Thank you, Google. The Indian pumps are just about ready. I'm gonna see if I can make myself a hose to come down off of the handle. They also need to have straps, but straps aren't gonna show up on there. I'll just put them so that the straps are against the tank of the truck. And I don't have any brass paint. I don't know what you call it. The shaft, the handle on those things is brass. I know I've used them before. Been out there, done that. And here's the front bumper. You can see I had to make a wire, what do you call that? Was that like a roll bar, roll cage? That plastic piece was missing from the kit, so I just bent some wire. And again, the hose, the nozzle on the front hose there is painted. I think that's copper, it's not brass, but I don't have any brass paint. And the gumballs are ready to go on. I just was looking before I turned on the camera. I do have one antenna, and I want to put it on the back side. Usually what I use for antenna material is guitar strings, and I don't have any more. There you go, the wound string like that. I don't have any more. I mean, this one here, but it doesn't have. What I like to use is the, don't have one to show you, but when it goes from wound string to unwound string at the end. And yeah, I don't have any guitars that need to be restrung at the moment either, so I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll use this antenna somehow. It obviously doesn't have a right angle down at the bottom. I want it coming out of the back of the cab like that, so it would bang up against the back of the cab and make the guys inside angry. The cab, you can see the interior is in there, and you can't see it. Oh shucks. There's a microphone cable and a microphone in the dash there. I don't know if I can point to it, but there's the microphone right there for the radio. Sorry about my hand. There's the microphone, and there's a cable that hangs down to the floor. So we have a radio. In theory we have a radio, and looks like that grill is just a little bit hitting the bottom of the, well, it's not too bad. Not too bad. If you look carefully, I've got a couple of scratches here in the paint. It was in the primer. I was sanding the primer down to get rid of some of the lines for the trim that was on there, and scratched the body. But that just looks like the truck went through some brush and scraped the paint. Not a big deal. Anyways, that's where it's at right now. I've got to put the bumper, I guess this is going to glue on. Got to glue the bumper onto here, and then this whole bracket, that whole rig will glue on to here and eventually be held on by the screw in the front. I think the tank and pump on the back are all ready. They just need to have these details put on, and I think those can wait until after it's assembled. I also have these spotlights on the back. Need to go up on here. Yeah, just a few more minutes. It's a nice day outside. I think I'll go outside and do some yard work for the rest of the day, but there's where we stand right now. Whoops, out of the camera. Bring it down. I don't know what those two holes are for on the rear deck. No idea. I think the hoses came out pretty good. Oops, bring it down. We've got, I tried using Tester's flat rubber, they call it, or flat black rubber, flat rubber black, I don't know. And it's a little brownish. It looks, I don't know what to call it, but it looks more like dark chocolate brown. And so I added just a little bit of black to it, and yeah, I think that looks a lot better. Personal opinion. And the red for the hose, I thought that was a nice color. I like the color on that. A little bit shiny, and I can put some dull coat on that, cover that up. Unfortunately, that's a bottle of paint called AccuPaint, and the bottle was probably 35 to 45 years old, and it's a plastic bottle, and years and years of off-gassing of the paint in the bottle caused the bottle to break. I put the cover on after I did the last little touch-up on this, and I realized that I smelled a lot of paint in here, and looked over in my spray booth, and there was this growing puddle of red paint. So that's the end of that bottle of paint, and signaling probably the end of all of my AccuPaints. I'll miss that stuff. It's good paint. Welcome back. The fire truck, dead out, the fire truck, is just about done. There's only one thing I'm doing. He's laying on his side right now because I was about to start this video and realized I'd forgotten the rearview mirror. I only have one rearview mirror for this kit, and I've been looking on eBay for another one, and I've had no luck so far. So that's where I am with the completion. Now let's turn it over gently. Hopefully the mirror won't fall off. There. Can you see the mirror? That's the correct one. The only other mirror I have, this is for the same side, but I have the other one, is this, which would end up mounting way like down here. Which, I guess it would work, but I want the upper ones. So anyways, it's going to have one mirror for now. The truck is, other than that, done. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit here and not lose too much. Okay. So, I may have to lift this up onto the turntable. And it falls off. Unfortunately, the wheels roll too well. Okay. So there it be. What have I done to it since it's been a while, I know. US Forest Service sticker on the side. The antenna on the roof. Gumball machines. Obviously the fire extinguishers on the driver's side rear. And oh, notice the US Forest Service or Department of Agriculture, to be specific, license plate. The Indian pumps are done, and I decided to even add the little hose to it made it a little difficult to get them to sit into there, but they're on there. And one of the things I noticed about the Indian pumps, the spigots that they give you for the kit, is that they have some kind of a trigger mechanism. And when I looked it up online, I wondered, because I've used Indian pumps before on fires, and there is no handle. You hold on to it and go like this with your hand back and forth. Okay, battery's charged. We're back again. Back in business. Whoops, gotta be careful. The light's not the best here. Let's see if I can get this a little bit better. There we go. Okay, so what was I talking about? The Indian pumps, I've used them. Yeah, okay. U.S. Department of Agriculture plates. Yeah, what else? Here we are on the other side. Oh, I tried some weathering this time with, eyeshadow. Cheapo dollar store eyeshadow. And, yeah, a little different. I also use some chalk, dry chalk. What is it called? And the problem with dry chalk is it's very subtle. It blows most of it off when you put clear finish on to hold it in place. The one thing that's a little gaudy is the brass paint on these. These should be copper and not brass. It's a little bit too shiny, but so goes it. And unlike a lot of models, the hood on this thing fits so perfectly, it's really, really hard to get off. I'm going to push it off the... There we go. Come on. I have to use an X-Acto blade to get underneath. There we go. Come on. So, there's the engine. See if I can hold it up a little bit more. It probably could stand a little bit more weathering, but yeah, how far are you going to go? And the underframe. again, yeah, that could probably use some more weather, but that's cool. So hopefully you like this video, and if you do, leave a thumbs up down below. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see some more models. Leave some comments. I do read them all, and make some suggestions if you want. Whoops, crash. U.S. Forest Service, dead out the fire truck. Puts the fires dead out. Hope you have fun with your modeling.